Welcome to Rising Woman Leaders. I'm your host, Meredith Rom, and I believe the time has come for women to share their gifts, their voice, and their stories. I love seeing women spiritually and financially empowered, thriving in their life's work, and doing what they love every day. I've gathered a community of women living their dreams to tell us their stories and inspire us to step into more courage, self-love, and feminine leadership. If you like this podcast, use the hashtag RisingWomanLeaders, follow me on Instagram at Meredith Rom, and sign up for email updates at risingwomanleaders.com to get all the new and inspiring content. Now get cozy with a journal and a cup of tea. I hope you enjoy today's show. I'm excited to share with you today a webinar I led last summer that received a really great response. I created this webinar to announce the program I'll be leading again this May called the Sovereign Circle. This year, I've made some updates to the program, including extending it to be 9 months long, adding a whole new group of guest teachers, including some of past guests on this podcast. We'll have Achintya Devi, Sina Shakti, Maga of Gaia, Anastasia Holland, Mackenzie Myers, and Rachel Webb. I've also added in 3 in-person retreat days as part of this program that will happen where I live in beautiful Sonoma County, California. The intention for this really came last year when I was doing a lot of work connecting to this idea of my higher self and thinking about stepping more and more into that vision of who I know I am and can embody, and that part of me that is that divine quality of being able to move forward free from fear and taking those steps and taking supreme care of myself. And I thought how beautiful it would be to bring a group together around this idea of connecting to their higher self. And so in the beginning, doing meditations and journaling around connecting with that vision of our highest selves. And then over the course of the program to each month be unveiling and stepping more and more into this vision of who we know we can be, who we are at our innate essence. And every month is themed around the chakras. So first month we just are grounding, setting intentions, getting to know the other women. And then we start with the root chakra. And that's our foundation of body wellness and self-care and our home environment. I even invite all the women to declutter their home and really just looking at all the different facets of that root chakra and our sense of survival and feeling at home in our body and in the world. And then we go to the sacral chakra, which is a lot about the womb, healing and connecting with the intuitive place of the womb, and also our creativity and our sensuality. And we move up to the solar plexus, which is all about worthiness and our relationship to money and our willpower and setting up systems and structure and looking at all of those areas. Then we have the heart chakra, which is love and romance and partnership and communication in those places and sharing vulnerably and openly, and also self-love. Then the throat, which is voice and leadership and taking those steps forward, sharing your story. What is it, the fear, looking at the fears of being seen, also looking at our what we feel our mission is and what we want to step into in terms of our careers or our contribution in this life. And then the third eye, intuition, inner knowing, vision, divine guidance. And then the crown, connection with the higher realms and the higher self. And then we'll close with the soul star chakra, which I'm just learning more about now, of that really the embodiment of the higher self and the cosmos. And we'll have guest teachers throughout the program to offer teachings. And then I also give a wisdom recording every month, audio, that gives the teachings related to each of these themes. And then another piece is the archetype of the queen. So I use that archetype a lot in my work because I see the queen as someone, like the word sovereign, to me it means autonomous and boundless and free and regal. And I think of the queen with that because she is someone who says yes to her power. She knows she is powerful, and yet she does it in a way of knowing that when she says yes to that power, she can be of such greater service to the people around her, to her people, and to be able to give back. And she takes supreme care of herself because she knows that she's able to hold that frequency and to be of service when she is in that place of supreme self-care. And then, so the end of the program, and I actually just got to have this last night, and it was so special because I've been leading this group, and we come together in a ceremonial call to be witnessed and sharing our vows of what we wish to step into for our life, how we want to take care of ourselves, what our mission we feel is, how we want to show up for the people around us, who is our highest self, what we are stepping into. Yeah, so last night, I'll share a little what happened. It was just we each shared our vows and then had space for each woman to fully reflect what they see in each other. And it was just so powerful. And I know that rite of passage has been such a big piece for me when having that opportunity to really be seen and witnessed and loved. And then to kind of have that threshold of okay, this is who I have been, and now I'm stepping into something new. I've always feel that is so powerful, that kind of ritual. The last piece is the private coaching sessions. So every month there's a 75-minute private session with me. Each person in the program receives, and that is the time to really look towards your personal goals, but also the places where you want to open a deeper healing and also release limiting beliefs. So I have my tools as a coach, but I also use EFT tapping, really working with those limiting beliefs. And I also use another practice called matrix reimprinting, which is actually working with the past versions of ourselves that may have gotten stuck or frozen in the past, and using tapping in some of our old memories to discharge emotional stress, discover what core beliefs were created in those moments, and create a new reality for ourselves from working with these memories. And for me, it's been doing that work has been almost like the missing link in a way, where I was able to get so far kind of following these masculine structures and doing, using my systems and all that. But really when I started bringing in the feminine essence to my work and that sense of feminine abundance and magnetism and things not needing to be pushed or forced, and then also looking at the layers and uncovering and seeing what parts of myself, what inner child I might have that wants greater healing. That's been a huge piece of just feeling like once we discover that, there's so much more ease and grace towards moving forward without that sense of fear. We begin this next round of the program on May 2nd. All the details are up at risingwomanleaders.com to learn more about the Sovereign Circle. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for taking this time for yourself to hear these teachings. And let's just all for a moment just open ourselves up to a state of receiving. Abundance is so much about opening ourselves up to receive. So exhale all the air from the body. Take a full deep inhale through the nose. And exhale it out through the mouth. Another full deep inhale through the nose. Exhale it out through the mouth. Let's do that once more. Your own time. Imagine just receiving your breath, receiving this moment, opening yourself up to receive. And I want you to imagine the web of other women here with you tonight. Beautiful women who are all just coming onto the call right now, who are here to support you in stepping into your greatness. Women who are invested in you becoming the best version of yourself. I welcome in all of our guides and our teachers, anyone that has been a guide or teacher to you of importance in your life, whether living or non-living. You're welcome to call them in silently in your own space. I'd like to invite in one of my teachers, Amma, the Indian guru, and Divine Mother, to be with us in this space. I invite in also Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion, breathing that in. I invite in Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, two ascended masters who have been very important roles in my life lately. And then if you have any other teachers or guides or angels that you want to call in this moment, you can just imagine that now. Really centering in, feeling your breath, opening up to receive. And for the last few months, I've been going to these women's circles with a mentor of mine. And something that she does that it's so dear to my heart, is when we are calling in that sacred space together, we hold each other's hands. And from woman to woman, we look into the woman next to us, into her eyes. And we say, "Sister, I see you, I honor you, and I welcome you to this circle." And I just got chills for a moment. So just feel that. I want us all to imagine that we are holding that space for each other of seeing each other, honoring each other, welcoming each other to this circle. I declare this as a safe and a sacred space where we can open to our highest callings and join in sisterhood and support of each other and becoming our highest selves. And so with that, you can open your eyes, welcoming into this space. Just going to check in on the chat box. Thank you, Devin. So tonight we are going to be talking about the art of feminine abundance. And I'm going to be sharing some feminine practices for an abundant life. I'm going to share some body wisdom teachings for you to increase your magnetism and how to clear the space for what you truly love. We'll be talking about the role of the queen and your higher self. I'll also be sharing a feminine approach to manifestation. But since you're taking the time to be here, I really invite you to be fully present. So you can, if you can, close all your other windows, close the door, be fully present here. And I also invite you to stay the entire time, because at the end, I'm going to be giving a practice that you can start using right away. And this is going to be a practice where you can just really start to create huge shifts in your life related to inviting in more abundance. And it's a pretty simple practice, something that will just take a few minutes a day. So if you're here, I imagine that each and every one of you have a calling. You want to share your gifts. You feel this energy of wanting to birth something in the world. And really what we're doing at this time, all of the women waking up, we are birthing a new paradigm. And in this new paradigm, I really see that women are financially empowered. They're doing what they love every day. They're letting go of this pushing and forcing and sacrificing, and they're opening up to a state of it being easeful. I believe in each and every one of you stepping into your full potential, your financial empowerment, thriving in your life's work, and then creating that space to do what you love every day. So I really see this being possible in this feminine way of being able to open to receive, taking steps forward with ease and with grace. So for those of you that are new to my work, I just want to share a little bit about myself. I grew up in New York, East Coaster. I live in California now. But a lot of my life, I was really in that masculine model of achieving and doing. I really loved that feeling, checking that next thing off the to-do list, getting that A+ in the test, staying up late to study. And often I was sacrificing my self-care in the name of getting it all done. And while I do feel like there is an important place for structure and action in our lives, if our body starts telling us signals to slow down, I believe it's really, really important to listen to them. So at the end of college, when I found myself with stress and exhaustion, chronic pain, being overworked, I really started to reevaluate my life. And I found yoga at that time. And I remember being in my first yoga class and being in pigeon pose and starting to really go into the feeling of what was happening in my body. Instead of pushing things away or distracting myself, I really just let myself feel everything that was there. And through that space of being, allowing myself to just be, the feelings of stress, the difficult emotions, everything that was there began to shift. There was a little more space. There was a little more openness. So without even knowing it, this was really my first experience of what is the sacred feminine. And this has become such a great teacher to me in my life. Just being, holding, loving ourselves is such a powerful way to be in the world. And through that being, allowing myself to feel the difficulty of everything that I was carrying at that time, I opened up to my intuition and I started to feel that I could have bigger dreams for my life. And that was what led me to my inner guide, moving to California, soon after to India, back to California where I live today. My life's work is as a coach and a yoga teacher. And, even though I've started this business, I really noticed when I was especially first starting my business, this feeling of the masculine, like pushing, forcing, making things happen, really did start to come back into my life, and it created some challenges. And I want to share a metaphor that recently I heard. It was about a woman giving birth. When you think of a woman giving birth, when it is time for her to birth her baby, there is this universal life force that moves through her, and she just needs to surrender to that. And the more that she can surrender, the more easeful that will be. And I think that's really true for our creative gifts, that when we honor that feminine, that surrender, and there is a sense of patience and waiting for that ripeness, our creative gifts, like there will be this universal life force that will move through us. And the things that we want to birth will have so much more ease. So what I believe is happening right now is that the feminine is rising, calling us back as a collective, calling us back into balance. There are so many of us waking up at this time that feel this calling to join together in sisterhood, to be in support of each other. We are feeling called to let go of the paradigm of the pushing, the forcing, and we're ascending quickly beyond that. And tonight, as we're talking about abundance, I want to share that abundance, I really see it as a state of being within ourselves. And when we begin to live and breathe that state of being, everything outside of ourselves will mirror that. So my intention today is to help you reconnect to your feminine essence and to rediscover the innate abundance that is within you. so that you can begin to reflect that in everything around you. So in our culture, we have been faced with some real challenges and conditioning around money and abundance, especially from our families, how we're raised. We have this conditioning naturally coming up. We take in the conversations that are around us, how our parents related to money and to abundance. A lot of us have grown up carrying an idea of scarcity or of fear, and that can create limiting beliefs in our psyche. And many of you are probably familiar with the teachings of The Secret, the law of attraction. And this was actually really helpful for me. I remember back when I was first living in California, maybe 5-6 years ago, of discovering these teachings and seeing, oh, well, if I just shift my thoughts, I'll create more experiences that are positive, and that will become my reality. And if we shift our thoughts, we can think more positively, create more positive things in our life. And so that was helpful. But what's actually happening now is that we are ascending and accelerating beyond these teachings. The mind is very powerful, but it does not take into account the power of the womb and the body. And these teachings, we can force our will. If our mind is, wanting to create something, we can command things, to work, but it won't necessarily be an easeful process, because really what the universe is about is a co-collaboration. And one thing that these teachings, can really perpetuate is a feeling of shame or blame. If something bad happens to in our lives, and then we start thinking, oh, I created this, that actually can create a feeling of really feeling bad about yourself. And that's why we are ascending beyond these teachings, because the truth is that life in every moment is happening for us, not to us. And when we look at the model of the feminine, it's very cyclical. We're living this human experience. There are times of great expansion, and then there are times of contraction. And our spiritual path is not necessarily about how great we are about manifesting everything we want, but it's how we respond to life, how you respond to what you're presented with. So know that sometimes hard things come up. Sometimes bad things happen. But if you can truly love yourself through those challenges, through those hard times, and evolve so that you can really open yourself up again to miracles, like that is so powerful. So let's just take a moment to breathe that in. Any thought that you might be having of, you having created something just really difficult in your life, just, letting go of the idea that you are bad or anything around that as being bad, but opening up to the idea of like co-creating with the universe, releasing any ideas of shame or blame, opening yourself up to the idea that things are cyclical. In the feminine model, it's all about responding to life with love. And with that, we can use our body, and we can take the art of manifestation a level deeper through really using practices that involve not only our mind, but also our body. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of these teachings today, and I'll share as much as I can the time we have. For those of you that want to go deeper in these practices, you're going to hear a little more about what's upcoming in my future offerings where you might want to go deeper. So let's take a moment to really tune in to what you desire. Take a moment and tune into your breath. If you want to write this down, you can write this down. If you want to just feel it in your body, feel it in your body. What does my heart truly long for? What do I want to open myself up to receive? And with this question, I invite you to open up to this idea of a higher self, this being, this inner guide who is with you at all times. I'm going to take you through a short meditation to connect to this higher self, to see what she may want to offer to you. So wherever you are, feel into your body, feel into your breath. And I want you to imagine that there is this beam of light just coming down to your body. And this beam of light, you step into it and it starts to raise you up into the universe. You go up into the clouds, into the atmosphere, out into the universe. And as you're out in the universe, you see another beam of light and you step into that new beam of light. And this beam of light is going to take you down and down and down back to the earth. And it's going to take you to the place to meet and have a conversation with your higher self. There are really no right or wrong way to do this, but just following along the best you can. Imagine yourself going down through the atmosphere, through the clouds, back to earth. And imagine that you are landing upon the earth, and who knows what's around you. Maybe it's a field, maybe it's a beach, maybe there's a forest, maybe it's a city. Just begin to look around. And I want you to imagine that there is a home there. And you're going to just step up into this home. And you knock on the door and someone opens it. And this person is your higher self. And just take a moment to look at this person in front of you. What does he or she look like? What are they wearing? And as you step inside this home, look around at the surroundings. How does this person treat their surroundings? What does their home look like? And your higher self invites you down for a cup of tea. And you sit down with this person. And I want you to just ask a simple question. Ask about this person's life. How do they spend their days? Maybe you see images, words. How does this person? You can even ask directly, what do I need to know about stepping more and more into the role of you, this higher self? Is there any wisdom that you have to show me or tell me in this moment? And you can always go back and use this meditation and spend more time here, but for now we're going to just thank this being. And we'll step back outside the door. We'll step back into our beam of light, all the way up into the ethers, and step back onto the original beam of light that'll take us back into this moment, into our bodies where we are right now. So this is a very shortened version of a meditation that I like to use around connecting to this higher being, this higher self. When I first did this meditation, I really began to see the kind of woman that I wanted to be and the kind of home that this woman lived in. I saw that she actually was wearing organic clothing. She had lots of light colors. She took supreme care of her body. She meditated in the mornings. Her home was very minimal. And I began making decisions based on my current self, based on what my higher self would do. what would my higher self wear? What would my higher self buy? What would my higher self keep in my home? And at the time, it actually felt really far off. But as I started to make those little changes, I have been noticing myself stepping more and more into that higher self every day. And it's just becoming more and more a part of who I am. And we can think about that. Every choice in our life is like, am I stepping closer to that being, to that higher self, that woman that I know I am becoming? So my tip for this is for you to just connect as much as you can to this version, this higher version of yourself, and to ask yourself, how can I become more like her? And really use that in times you're afraid. Use that in times you're not sure what to do. Use that in thinking about designing your home or your wardrobe. So I'm going to be taking us through steps here. This first step was really around connecting to your higher self in the art of feminine abundance. And there are 10 steps that I've created to share with you tonight. So the second step that I found to be really powerful is about telling the truth. So now that you have an idea of just what it is you are stepping towards, ask yourself, what is not working for me? What is not working for me in my life? And this is a really good prompt for journaling, to tell the truth to yourself. As soon as we tell the truth, even if it's just writing in a journal in that private space with yourself, it really begins to set ourselves free. As soon as we tell the truth, especially about the things that are not working, there's more space. And when we bring the things we're ashamed about or feel fear about or angry about into that light, we can hold that with a little more love, and they can instantly transform. Telling the truth in this way can really set ourselves free from these prisons of our minds that we sometimes live in. So with telling the truth, there's another step, and this is about accepting the truth. So last spring, I was going through some challenges. There were some different things going on with my health. I had some challenges around my relationships, some challenges around money, and I was feeling kind of down on myself. And I did this practice of telling myself the truth. And I wrote in my journal, just accepting what was in that moment. And it may seem like, no, I don't want to accept this. I want to change this. I want to fix this. But actually, like the feminine model of just taking a moment for yourself to really tell the truth and accept what is hard, accept what has been going on, is so powerful. So I actually found this letter that I wrote where I had written out everything. I accept that X, Y, and Z is going on. I accept. There was just so much more space when I did that. But finding that letter, this was from a few months ago, and I just found it yesterday, and I read through what I had written at that time. And I was surprised at how much had shifted. It was like as soon as I allowed myself to acknowledge and accept that there were some things that were not working for me, they began to transform. And I really do think when we open that space of the feminine, holding, loving, accepting, telling the truth, acknowledging that, we can create more space for those things to change. And it's as simple as just writing it out in the journal. So the third step I have is around clearing the space to receive. So around this time when I had written out that letter of I accept, I found a book. And this book, I have it next to me. I've been talking about it a little bit on my Instagram last month. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And this book helped me so much. It is all about decluttering your environment. And it's really about like surrounding yourself with the things you love, surrounding yourself with the things that spark joy. When we declutter our space and we let go of things that we've been holding on to, we open ourselves up so much more space to receive. When we face ourselves with everything that we own and ask, do I love this? Does this spark joy? Does this represent who I am today? Because sometimes we buy things and we accumulate things and we loved them at the time we bought them, but they can serve their purpose. And sometimes we don't need to hold on to those anymore. So the process that she takes you through in this book, you start with your clothes, you go to your wardrobe, you put all the clothes in your house on the floor of the room, and you pick up each one. Does this spark joy? And you would just keep the things that you truly love. So after the clothes, you go into books, then you go into papers, you go into miscellaneous items, and then you go into the mementos. And the reason she has these categories is because the things that are easiest to make the choices about are clothes and books, where the hardest are the things that really have special meaning. And as you go through this process, you actually fine-tune your intuition. And I found that when I did this process, I was able to make decisions a lot easier around everything in my life. It was like people would ask things of me and I would just be able to check in and think, okay, is this something that, that sparks joy? Is this something that will bring more love into my life, more spaciousness? And it really helped hone in on my decision-making abilities. So I highly recommend that. So another thing that happened with this is before I did this process, I kept telling myself, I thought I needed a bigger house. Like I was spending so much energy looking at new houses to live in because I was like, I need a bigger house. I need more space. I was driving myself crazy, focusing so much on the things I didn't have. And actually, when I went through and cleared out my home, it totally transformed and I felt so different in my space. Suddenly, I didn't even feel that need to change my space. I was just like so happy where I was. And with that, I created more space to invite new things in my environment. My partner and I recently put in an outdoor bathtub, and it's just like the home is totally transformed in a new way. So I invite that as a practice that you can do. And also with the art of receiving, one way that we can begin to do this in a really simple way is to receive compliments. So if you have trouble receiving, very often we receive a compliment and we immediately it might feel uncomfortable. So we immediately want to deflect it back. And we're like, oh, well, thank you. But, I love what you're wearing. And we kind of just give it right back. And actually what I want you to practice is opening up to the receiving and just saying thank you. And this, it's so helpful to just like breathe it in. I remember when my partner first started doing this and he told me about it, and it was just like breathing it in and just saying thank you for noticing. And that can begin to create more space to receive. Okay, number 4, set your lens for abundance. So making more money is not necessarily going to make you feel more abundant. If we're still carrying that mindset of scarcity and living in, fear or holding or that place of not enough, it might not feel very good. However, if we can open up first to that feeling of abundance, we will very likely open ourselves up to receive more money. The feminine is so much about trust. Trusting money is going to come, opening ourselves up. The universe really does want us to be in a state of abundance. And it's like I said before, the co-collaboration about responding to life, letting money flow, letting it come into our lives like that. And when you set your lens for abundance and you start to look around you and you start looking for abundance, abundance is what you're going to find. So even in this moment, just look around you, whatever, maybe you're you're sitting on a nice cushion, or maybe there's just like some light washing in your room, or whatever it is, just looking for the abundance and starting to set your lens for that. You're going to start to see more of that. You're going to start to attract more of that. Okay, number 5 is being the queen. So this is new for me. This is something I love, an archetype I have loved inviting more into my life. So the queen, as you may know, she is a leader. She is sovereign, powerful, autonomous. A queen is also someone who is of service. She is here for her people. She is in service to a greater good. So the role of the queen is really about stepping into your service in a way where you can put your fears aside and really truly step into that service of the people you want to be there for and you want to help. So much of my path has been about trusting in my voice. And I went through a lot of fears growing up around not trusting my voice. And I've worked through a lot of those doubts and a lot of those fears and trusting myself and using my voice. And I've known on a deep level that this fear has absolutely been calling me deeper and deeper into my purpose. So the mantra that I've been using is, I am a queen. I trust in my voice. And maybe for you, it'll be different, but holding that energy of that leader, of this person who is of service. And now when I step more and more into this role of the queen, when I follow my intuition and really deeply trust in myself, abundance always follows. And this really requires us to move beyond the things that scare us. And this requires us to take up more space. There is an immensity of power that comes with the role of holding yourself in that role of the queen. And we can accept that power. So I want to give you an example. Last week, I was in Minnesota, where my dad grew up and I have family that lives there. And my grandmother passed away a few months ago. And we had a memorial service for my grandmother last week. And I had signed up to give a speech at this memorial. And I was thinking this memorial would be a couple of friends and family. That was what the plan was originally when I said, yes, I would like to say something at the memorial. Well, lo and behold, I get there 2 days before and I find out that 150 people had RSVP'd and were coming to this memorial service in the church. And I was pretty nervous, thinking, okay, here I am. I have to trust in this. I have to step into this power of this role of the queen. And this is a divine opportunity for me to share a gift with this audience and to help them really think about the preciousness of life and what they can walk away with. So there I was on the seat, about to go up and give my speech. And I felt an immensity of energy just like running through my body. It was very powerful and intense. But what I did in that moment is that I started breathing, really deeply breathing. And I said yes to that energy. I opened myself to receive that. And I said, yes, I am willing to hold this amount of power. And I am willing to get up there at that podium and offer the gifts that I have to give today. And I did that and I shared that speech. And I'm actually thinking of sending what I said out to my newsletter. So you can stay tuned for that. But afterwards, like, not only did it feel so honoring to be up there, but afterwards, person after person after person just kept coming up to me and saying, thank you. Thank you so much for what you shared. And it was just a very powerful experience for me. And it helped me see that it's so important for us as women to step into this role as the queen and to say yes to that energy of holding that amount of power. So with this role of the queen, I invite you to also think about how you want to treat yourself. A queen would treat herself with exquisite care. She would really, make delicious meals for herself. She would take care of her body. So a few things that I've been doing, one of them is self-oil massage. When I take a bath or shower, sometimes I do it before, sometimes I do it after, but just putting oil on my body, sesame oil is what I've been using. And I usually put a few drops of essential oil on that, but bringing in consciousness and awareness as I put this oil on my body, and to actually speak to my body and to say, I love you. Thank you. You matter. I bless you. I learned this from one of my teachers, Maren, and I've been doing it for the last few months, and it's so beautiful, so powerful to speak to your body with that kind of love. Another thing was taking exquisite care of yourself is finding a signature scent, something that you just love the smell of, and using that on yourself. And just I started doing this, and every time I hug people now, they're like, what are you wearing? And it just made it so enjoyable to just feel like I'm really treating myself with that kind of love. Okay, so number 6 is about responding to life with love, to practice just being, to hold ourselves in the times those hard things come up, because they are inevitable. Even if we're really good people, even if we're doing the best we can to think positively, sometimes hard things happen. And if we can hold ourselves in that kind of love in those moments, we will reopen ourselves up to abundance again. So I want you to even think of this. I'm sure all of us here at one point or another have been triggered by another woman. We see another woman out there doing something, and we're just like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? She's doing something so much better than me. What am I going to do? Or, we compare ourselves, and it can be really, really difficult to be in that position. And if you ever see that come up in yourself, to hold that with love and actually to feel it, but then to remind yourself that this person is a reflection of your greatness. And this happened to me recently with another woman who, there were moments when I saw what she was doing and feeling like, oh my God, she's doing that before me or better than me or whatever it was. But it turned out, funny enough, she was thinking the same exact thing about me. And we came to a point of having a conversation about this, because we both chose on our own to see each other as a reflection of our own greatness. And we started reaching out to each other and supporting each other and saying, wow, I admire what you are doing. And that has just been so healing for, I think, the collective of women, to see other women as reflections of your own greatness. And anytime you might feel that feeling of a trigger or something, that hard moment coming up, to love yourself through that and to remind you that is a reflection of your own greatness. So the feminine is about letting go of this idea of fixing ourselves, fixing our emotions, and actually feeling them. It is a true invitation to hold yourself with this kind of love, to wrap the essence around you, to reconnect yourself to source energy, and to step back into this kind of wholeness. Okay, I'm going to go to number 7. The number 7 is to save and to give. So in this opening to a state of abundance, having enough, telling one way you can tell your mind and your body that you have enough is if you save and give. And that is a really powerful way to send subliminal messages that I have enough. And when you're in a state of enough, you are going to open up to attract more coming to you. So think about organizations that you want to give to, one organization that I love giving to is to amma.org. She has so many service projects happening in the world. And I always feel when I give to that money is going to good use. And this also is really important to practice being more generous with friends, practice being more generous, and actually doing the opposite of what your fear mind wants to do. So, of course, you don't want to take this to an extreme. You want to make sure that you're giving to yourself, of course, and you want to save as well. But opening up to that idea of generosity and giving. And I have some stories around that, but I want to be mindful of time. And I want to check in on the chat box because I see some things coming in. Okay. Hi, Raina. Hi, Ellen. I have a few more steps for you here. Number 8, surround yourself with what you love. And this stuff is really about pleasure. So pleasure is an antidote to our fear, our doubt, and our worry. When we are in enjoyment, we expand our magnetic field and we attract the right people and the situations of exactly what we need. So I invite you to think about the things that bring you pleasure, the things that bring you joy and love. And I'll give you a few examples. So for me, some things on my list are raspberries, roses, a clean space without clutter, light, warmth, bubble baths, friend dates, clean clothes when they first come out of the dryer, holding my cat, sunsets, leading calls like this one, singing, red lipstick, yoga, giving gifts, and surprising other people. So those are some ideas of just things you can do to tap into that state of abundance and that flow. Number 9, getting close to number 10. Number 9 is releasing attachments. Okay, so there's a story I want to tell you. I've been with my beloved, my partner Michael, for 5.5 years. And for the last year, I've had a pretty strong desire to get married. And I was holding that desire, and sometimes we would have conversations about it, but I was holding on to that desire with such attachment at one point that it started to create conflict. And when it started to really shift for me and I began to bring awareness to this and notice it and change it was when I went to a Vipassana retreat. So last Christmas, I spent 10 days in silence and meditation, meditating 10 hours a day. And my mind started running. Mine started running all the things I didn't have, focusing on the pressure and the things that I wanted, how I wanted things to be different. And one of the things was like, really want, to take the next step with Michael, really want us to deepen in our commitment. And I was putting so much pressure on myself. And it wasn't until I was in this practice of Vipassana where it is so much about patience. Literally, you are just watching your breath in your body, top of the head to the tips of the toes, back and forth over and over again, that I had this huge moment of awareness where I was like, oh my God, I have been causing myself so much misery. I have been focusing so much on the things I don't have, the things that I want, how I want things to be different. And it was just like being with the body and the breath that much, I realized I am in control here. I have been causing my own suffering. And I started crying when I realized that because I had been focusing so much on that and not on the things that I loved. Like here I was with this amazing partner. It makes me cry almost thinking about it. And when I really got to that moment of realizing like what I had and the things that I loved about that partnership, it was like the dharma of us singing or teaching together or spending time in beautiful natural environments and going out to dinners. And those were the things I realized that brought me true, genuine happiness. And when I came back from that retreat, I apologized and I said, I'm going to focus on the things that I really love that we have together. And I really started putting energy into that and letting go of that pressure. And our relationship really began to blossom and open and strengthen in these new ways. And within 3 months, my partner then surprised me and proposed. And it was just like this moment of, wow, okay, universe, I see. Releasing our attachments is so, so, so important. And this is probably one of the hardest steps, because I know there are things that you probably really, really want. And you know in your heart that you deserve them and you're worthy of them. And that's true. You are worthy of them. But in order to be in this co-collaboration with the universe, we sometimes really just need to let go and to trust that everything is coming in its right time. And to be totally honest, now that I am in this state with my partner, being engaged, I could not imagine it happening any sooner. It's like this new level of commitment. I needed to reach a level of maturity first. And the universe really was holding out for me and knew what was best. So sometimes we need to really trust and let go and release those attachments. Okay. So number 10, this is our final step. And this is where I'm going to share the practice of the feminine approach to manifestation, the art of our feminine abundance. So I heard this story recently from Maren Bach Antonsen, and it was of a man who was studying these native tribes. And the man, during this time when he was studying these tribes, there was a drought. And one of the head chiefs was going to go up on the top of the mountain and do a prayer for rain. And they invited this man who was studying them and learning about their rituals and their tribe to come up onto this mountain for the ritual. And the man was very honored. And he was like, okay, yes, I want to go. I want to go with you. So they walked in silence to the top of this mountain. And the man kept thinking, what instruments is he going to bring? What is he going to do? A dance? What is this going to look like? This prayer for rain. He kept imagining in his mind what it would be. And when the chief got up there, he closed his eyes. He went to the edge of the mountain. He opened his hands and he started breathing. And he just started feeling his body. And the man was over on the side watching him. Okay, when is the ritual going to happen? When is he going to do the dance or say the words or call in the prayers? And he watched for about 5 more minutes, and all the chief did was stand there with his arms open, with his eyes closed, breathing. And after 5 minutes, the chief turned around and he said, we're done. We can go down now. And the man was like, what is happening? Where is the ritual? And he said, that was the ritual. And he said, what did you do? And he said, I closed my eyes and I felt the rain on the top of my head. And I felt the rain all down my body. And I felt my feet digging into the earth, into the puddles of the earth as the rain was pouring down. And I heard the thunder, and I felt with every sense of my being that rain surrounding me. And that was the ritual, and that was the prayer. And lo and behold, like that very next day, rain started coming down. And so the key here was around deeply feeling in the body the prayer. So we're going to now set the space for ourselves to do this. I invite you to close your eyes and to tune into your heart and to tune into that desire that you have that is so true in your heart that you want to create in this life, that desire for what you want to surround yourself with. And I want you to feel in your body, in your womb, what it would be like for that to be happening. Notice your breath, feeling into that feeling. And from the center of your womb, I want you to imagine planting an anchor down and down, deep into the center of the earth. Planting that seed that you wish to manifest. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes, just feeling that. So this is a practice that you can do very simple on your own each day. And it's so powerful to feel in your body, to take those steps of really honoring what that is that you want, you desire, and feeling it as if it's already happening. So I know I shared a lot today, and there's a lot to practice, a lot to implement. And I know some of you are going to go out and you're going to implement it and maybe make huge shifts in your life. And I imagine that there are some of you that may want to go deeper. And especially there are some of you that may want community, because when we step onto the path of the feminine and really honoring our gifts, there are fears, there are doubts that come up along the way. And what I have found is that when I have surrounded myself in sisterhood and know that there are other women who have my back, and I have some kind of guide or mentor along the way, that I can do so much. I can open myself into such greater and greater capacity. So for those of you that are feeling that call to go deeper, I would love to send an invitation to you today to the program that I'm going to be leading. It's called the Sovereign Circle. So this program is honestly, like when I first became a coach, this is what I wanted to create. And I did different versions of it and pieces of it. And it took time for me to come into that state of actually feeling like I had the tools and the resources and what I really wanted it to be to offer it. So what this is this leadership initiation and High Priestess Sisterhood. This is about stepping into your greatness, embracing your divine feminine power, becoming your highest self. This is an image here from the retreat that I led in Bali last year, the women. And this program is going to be intimate for 12 women. And it's for women that really feel this desire to contribute in the world. It's for women that feel ready to claim their sovereignty. So sovereign, what this word means, it is about becoming that queen. It is that sense of regal, autonomous, powerful, boundless, free. And what I imagine for each of these women is that we'll be coming together each month. We'll have a sisterhood call. We'll have a wisdom teaching. We're going to be laying a sovereign foundation of self-love. We're going to deepen our spiritual connection, our practice. And on our final call, we're actually going to be holding a space of actually stepping into our highest selves. Like I'm going to invite everyone to adorn themselves fully as their highest selves. We're going to share vows with each other that I'm going to guide you how to write throughout the program around what it is you are honoring for yourself and what it is you are honoring for your highest contribution in life. So each month is around the chakras. So the first month is going to be all about the root chakra. And what I mentioned before about clearing and decluttering the space of your home, we're going to be doing that together. And each month I'm going to offer a book and we're going to read that book together. And we're going to have a wisdom teaching. We're going to have the High Council Sisterhood video call each month. And on top of that, we'll have some guest mentors, which I'll get to in a moment. Starting with the foundation, the root, really opening, connecting to our higher selves, moving up to the sacral chakra, femininity. We're going to have a womb healing. My mentor, Marin, is going to come and speak to all of you. Well, then we'll move up to the solar plexus, which is all about worthiness. My dear friend Jillian Anderson is going to be offering a teaching that month all about abundance and money and self-worth. We'll move into the heart chakra, all about love and vulnerability, speaking our truth with each other, our authentic, vulnerable truths, talking about romance, inviting romance and love into our lives. The throat chakra, voice, speaking, sharing our stories with each other, refining our contribution. The third eye, inner knowing, intuition, and then the crown, connection to the divine. So this program, I'm just going to keep scrolling through the page for you to see a little more what the program offers you, what you'll receive as part of it. Each month also has a private coaching call with me. So you are going to have the space to focus on your own individual goals, as well as the collective, what we're learning each month with the chakras. A lot of my one-on-one clients, they focus a lot on, what is their highest contribution? What is it they want to give? I support the women to create their offerings, to create online courses, to create the things that they want to go out there and to give. These are some of the guest mentor guides. Each month we'll have a different teacher coming to speak to us. Each of these women, I just really look up to so much, and I think they will offer so much wisdom to this group. I will be giving a wisdom teaching each month, so you'll have that as well. There's some bonuses. So we're almost at the end of the page here. So if you feel the call to join this, I've already started to accept some women to this group. I'm doing it on first come, first serve basis, and we begin up. But I do want to speak on the phone with each and every woman who is going to join. And so what if you're interested, you can just click on one of these links. I'm ready, send me more details. And that is, I'll send you all the call dates. I have a guide that you will receive, and you'll also have a link to sign up and talk to me so that I can hear more about you and what you're manifesting in your life, what new visions you have, and we can see together if it feels like a good fit for you to join us. So I would love to open the space now for questions. I know it's 6:00. Maybe we'll just go for another 10 minutes. If you have a question, whether it's about something I shared tonight or a question about the program, I would love to just answer your question now. And what we're going to do is you can just type it into the chat box. So if you go to the bottom, there's a little icon that says chat, and then you can go on over to the chat box. I'm just going through and seeing what some people have been writing. Beautiful. Thank you guys for such sweet comments here. So if you have a question, something about meditation, something about manifesting, something about abundance, something about this program that's coming up, the Sovereign Circle, I'm here for you a few more minutes. If you have any questions, you can think about that and ask. Yeah, and I'm looking at, see who's here right now. So beautiful to see these women. Liana, Devin, Mia, Reina. So you can, go ahead and here's a question. Or no, it's a comment. Comments are welcome as well. I'm excited to start this ritual of visualization. Do you have any practical suggestions of how to incorporate it into your life? Yes, I do. One thing I love to do is to practice this when I'm in the bathtub, because I feel like there's something special about being surrounded in water. I feel like water helps to magnify your prayers and to send them out. So I don't know if any of you are swimmers, or you like going to hot springs, or maybe you just like taking baths. Just doing that visualization and that body prayer of really feeling into your body, taking a few moments to feel what it is. Of course, doing it and at the end of a meditation is a wonderful time to do it too. But one thing that I found to be really beautiful is in a bathtub and just like anchoring down what it is you're calling in, opening up to receive in that space is really powerful. What else do we have here? Some thank yous. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you to Sarah. Liana, okay, I wondered for connecting with your higher self. I often find that I default to a comfortable set of behavior rather than acting from my higher self. How do you always make those decisions to get to that higher self instead of just acting as usual? Oh, it's a great question, Liana. Yeah, it's a practice. And it's kind of like, when we first start meditating, it's actually a success when we notice our mind wandering somewhere else. It's like if we can really take those moments of we're meditating, we're feeling our breath, things like that. But then when our mind comes in and we start thinking about things, every time we notice that we're not with the meditation, that's actually a success. So in the beginning, it might feel like, oh, I'm noticing myself go into my old pattern. This is not what my higher self would be doing. I'm noticing myself do the old thing that is familiar. That's actually a success. That means that you are taking a step forward. And that might happen a few times or a lot before you actually get to the moment of making the next choice. There's this metaphor or this story that my partner tells me. It's like, the first time we walk down the street, there's a hole, we fall in. The second time we walk down the street, we see the hole, but we still fall in. The third time we walk down a different street. So it's like, if you just know that you're in the process, and that's actually good if you're starting to notice yourself go into the old behavior, because there's awareness. And it might just take a little bit more of that time of holding yourself in that awareness. One other thing is that don't guilt yourself when you go into the old patterns. Don't, get hard on yourself. The best you can, it's okay. I want to just give an example. One of the things my higher self doesn't do is eat sugar. Sugar and my higher self just don't get along. And I've actually gave up sugar quite a while ago and was really doing well without having it in my life. And I just was on a trip with my family last week, and it was my sister's birthday, and we made this big cake and had all this ice cream there. And I was like, I'm going to have a little bit of cake and a little bit of ice cream. It's okay. And I did it, and I saw myself go into the old pattern because I was feeling like, oh, everyone else is eating it. I kind of just want to participate. And almost immediately, I was on my moon cycle, I felt my womb constrict. I felt like my body getting cold. I felt my mood changing. It was just does not do very well in my body. And what I did though afterwards, even though I was upset at myself for eating the sugar, I just said, okay, you know what? This was research. I don't need to get hard on myself. This is just something I'm learning. Moving forward, I can love myself through this too and make a different choice next time. So even if we see ourselves go into the old path, we can come back to our center and choose again. See, there are a few other questions. Yay. Liana, I love that story. Yes, that's encouraging. Thank you. I'm doing the same with decreasing sugar. This was research. That's a great new mantra to just tell yourself, this is research. I can move forward. And it showed me a similar path that I had noticed in the past, and now I can choose again. Any last questions before I close this call today? So again, for those of you that feel that call, that you might like to have a mentor, a guide, a sisterhood of other women to be in community with over 7 months, the Sovereign Circle, I'm opening the enrollment officially now today, although I have had a few conversations with women about it already. And I would love to invite you. This is my highest heart's offering. And for those of you that feel that call to join me in that space. I have so much to share with you, and I really, really would love to be there with you and to listen to you and to see what it is that you are stepping towards in your life and hold you in that light and in that encouragement to take huge steps beyond your fears and make this next year just so expansive in many ways. Okay, so I don't think there are any more questions. Let's take a moment to center in and close. Just feel back into your breath, feel back into your body. May we all join together as the sovereign women that we are. May we honor the light within our heart, the soul callings and yearnings, inviting us deeper and deeper onto our purpose and our path. May each and every one of us step more and more into this role of the higher self. May we honor all it is that we are becoming. May we step on our path with courage. May we love ourselves through our challenges. And may we hold each other in this circle of sisterhood, knowing that we are so supported and that we can see each and every one of us as a reflection of our own greatness. So I will be sending out this recording to all of you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. I see you. I honor you. I'm so happy that you took this time, this space to open up to your highest calling. I will bow. Namaste. Thank you. Blessings. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to our show today. We would love to hear what you think. Take a moment to hop on over to iTunes and leave us a review. We'd be so grateful to receive it. Until next time, namaste.